The New York Yankees front office just made an interesting decision, sending down Michael Tonkin, designating him for assignment to the minor leagues and bringing back Phil Bickford into their bullpen. We're going to break down this move, what it means, what the outlook looks like, and if this is truly a good decision heading into some September baseball coming up very shortly. But first, I want to welcome you in to Yankees Digest. I am your host, Gabby Gordon, and you know the drill. If you're among that 84.9% not currently subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I don't know what you're waiting for because we got everything New York Yankees here, and we are not slowing down anytime soon as we've got all the news to break and all the info to share. So welcome in. Thank you for joining me today. But that is right, folks. The news has been released. It's actually not totally breaking news at the time that this video is being uploaded, but the Yankees have designated Michael Tonkin for assignment and signed Phil Bickford to an MLB contract. So this news comes from the Yankees, and this is also reported on Talkin' Yanks. And look, it's an interesting move for a lot of reasons. Majority of people say this is not the greatest of decisions, and I'll tell you why. Michael Tonkin by no means has been having a bad season. He was an acquisition for the Yankees. His last couple starts have not been great, and we're going to get into that. But Phil Bickford is definitely no level up, and so Yankees fans are kind of interested here as to what the idea was in Brian Cashman's mind behind sending Tonkin down. Now, he's 34. His ERA is a 3.74 here, and he lets up home runs, 6 home runs allowed in 65 innings, and his win-to-loss percentage is only, he only wins half the time, 500. So it's not like he is dominating like some other relievers in the game. But then again, what we have to note is that the New York Yankees bullpen is really not dominating as a whole to begin with. But I think what's even more striking to me is the decision to kind of swap him with Phil Bickford, because Bickford's not having a better season by far at all. Now, he started back in June. He hasn't been with the Yankees since then, and his time with the Yankees in June was nothing to look at and smile and enjoy to watch as a fan or just in general. And you can see the whopping 14.40 ERA. Now, obviously, it gets inflated with the lack of starts and the lack of games that he's had on the mound coming in for relief. But nonetheless, 14 is a very, very high ERA, and one that's quite interesting in that decision to kind of get rid of one guy and bring in the other, and it's not necessarily a level up if you ask me for my opinion, and the stats don't lie. If we look at Michael Tonkin this year so far, this is kind of how he ranks in the league among what's been going on, and you can see he is 4-4 with 3.74 ERA. He's got 68 strikeouts. His batting average against is relatively low, 223, below the league average, about that. Home runs against, 6. So I mentioned he gives up a handful of home runs, but it's really not that much when you stack it to the rest of the league. And he's pretty much just your average guy, your average relief pitcher coming in. And sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad, sometimes you get what you want out of him, and sometimes you just simply don't. If we look back at his last 7 games, he's obviously been on a decline lately, and my guess is they've seen enough in the sense of, you can see his last 30 games, the ERA was sitting at a 3.98. He was 3-1, 2 saves in there as well. 16 walks, not exactly what you want, but what are you going to do about it, right? If you can get them out and you can work yourself out of the trouble that you cause, it's really okay. His last 15 games, though, that 3.98 ERA jumps up to a 6, and that's in 15 games. He only had 1 save. He was 1-1 with 16 earned runs given up within those last 15 games, which is pretty much, if you do the math, it's like he's letting up a run every single time he steps on that mound. And then his last 7, it just doesn't get better. His last 7, 6.57 ERA in 7 games, with only 1 save. He let up 9 runs in the last 7 games, and he struck out 13. And it's just like, in 12 innings pitched to let up 9 earned runs, the trend doesn't necessarily work in his favor. So I can understand if we're looking at this trend of what Tonkin has done within his last 7 starts, and even when we're going to look a little bit closer at his last 3, you still don't see the greatest stats. And so it's understandable that Cashman would want to try something else out in that bullpen position. But when you're looking at Michael Tonkin, it's like, is there an upgrade here? Is this worth it? Or would you rather just tough it out with Tonkin and let him get through his rough patch? Because the beginning, when he came in, he was relatively solid, relatively consistent. Now, this is his last 3 games here, and you can obviously see this is Phil Bickford's last 3 games, actually. Let me just be specific. Not since June 29th, that was his last game with the Yankees. And you can see from the 25th to 27th and the 29th, he's letting up runs every single inning he's on there. And he's really only on there for 1 inning of play coming in for relief. So, the 25th of June against the Mets, he let up 2 runs and 3 hits, only struck out 1 batter in 1 inning. And then the 27th against Toronto, same thing, let up a run in an inning on a hit and then 2 strikeouts. And then the 29th at Toronto, same thing, 5 earned runs. He barely makes it through the inning. He really doesn't make it through the inning. 4 hits, 1 walk, no strikeouts. He didn't get the save in any 3 of these. He didn't at all. It was just kind of like, if you're looking at this, you can work with this from Michael Tonkin because he's getting the saves most of the time, some of the time, right? I mean, last 7 games is the exception. He's struggling. He's really struggled in the last 15, if we're in being honest. In the last 15 specifically, he has struggled. But you can work with a guy like this who can get guys out on the strikeout, and the earned runs and the ERA, obviously not what you want, but you're looking at this. It's not much of an upgrade, in my opinion, at all. And let me know what you guys think about that. But again, if we're looking at the stats here for Phil Bickford, it's that 14.40 ERA. His hits per 9, 14.4. 5 innings pitched, right? 1 home run allowed in 5 games, 4 strikeouts. I just don't see this move as something that's benefiting the Yankees bullpen. Now, granted, the Yankees bullpen has struggled anyway. Their bullpen since May 20th, and this is as of August 19th, so the time I'm filming this is August 25th. So this is already a 6-day-old stat line here posted by Max Goodman on X. But you get the idea, and the numbers are still pretty similar. Tommy Kahnle, in 31 innings pitched, has the best ERA for this team. Utilize him more, right? Utilize him more situations. And then Jake Cousins as well has been fairly reliable, 1.99 ERA. And then it just doesn't get much better. Tim Hill, 2.77, not really bad. Michael Tonkin, like we mentioned, in the last 43.2 innings pitched as of August 19th. He was at a 3.3 ERA. That has since moved up now. We're in the 3.7s. So the trend for Tonkin, not great. He has been since sent down. And then you got Luke Weaver, 4.23 ERA. Clay Holmes, don't even get me started on Clay Holmes. He's a whole other issue in that closer position. And Mark Leiter Jr., trade deadline acquisition for the Yankees. Not really what you want out of your trade deadline acquisition. A 6.48 ERA in 8 innings pitched as of August 19th. And it really hasn't picked up since then for most of these guys. So when you've only got 2 guys that are really dominating in your bullpen, it's like, is there an upgrade here? Was it necessarily worth sending Michael Tonkin down and bringing up Phil Bickford and signing him to an MLB contract when it's not that much of an increase or an upgrade in this case? And, we'll have to see. Maybe Bickford's got it figured out. And I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like, but man, it's interesting to see the move. I understand the premise of it and the reasons why the trend is not going in the right direction for Tonkin, and it hasn't for quite some time now. But Bickford's really not any different, in my opinion, to what we've seen with Tonkin and what we've seen with the rest of the bullpen. So whether that's just Cashman wanting to switch things up, or I'm not truly sure what the decision and the reasoning behind it is, or the justification, but we'll have to see if it ends up working or if we see Tonkin back in pinstripes very soon. It could very well be possible. This could be a short-lived assignment. So we'll see how that rolls with the bullpen. What we do know is the bullpen still has a lot of ways to go and a lot of improvement that needs to be made if a World Series is going to be in the hands of the New York Yankees. So that's going to wrap up this episode of Yankees Digest. Once again, if you haven't already and you stayed to the end of this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the post notification bell, the like button, all those good things, because we've got so much to talk about, and it's honestly insane that we are just like a week and a half away from September baseball, postseason baseball on the way. We're going to share it all with you and more here. So you've been watching Yankees Digest. Thanks so much for spending some time with me. I've been your host, Gabby Gordon, and I will catch you in the next one.